Next team. A calm voice sounded from within the quiet room. You guys go ahead. Outside the door, a few senior disciples on guard spoke to Xiao Yin and his companions. Xiao Yin's brow twitched slightly. He realized that the figures guarding the area were exceptionally powerful. So much so that even with his late 6-star Do D strength, he couldn't see through them. Let's go. Xiao Yin's group moved from the back of the line to the front, thanks entirely to Ling Xian. Without her connections to these senior disciples, they would have wasted a lot more time here. Creak. The door made a slight sound as the 5 of them entered the room, gently closing the door behind them. They took a few steps forward. Inside, there was only a middle-aged man holding a brush, gazing at them. The man looked vigorous, his sharp spirit evident at first glance. Come over, junior brothers, the man said, holding the brush. With a soft chuckle, the group slowly moved closer. Report your hall name, your own name, and your strength for registration, the middle-aged man said, lifting his brush with a steady hand and looking at them. For some reason, the moment he laid eyes on Xiao Yin, it felt as if something deep within him shifted. It was a peculiar feeling. There's something strange about this kid, the man murmured softly. I'll go first, Lu Di said suddenly, stepping forward. The others nodded in agreement, indicating that the order didn't matter. Ling Xian, standing off to the side, carefully observed Lu Di's strength, noting that the aura around her was strange, somewhat similar to the poisonous Do Qi of the Medusa clan. Since Ling Xian had decided to join this team, she had to take it seriously. From her observation, Lu Di, despite her seductive figure, seemed to be only at the early 5-star Do Di level. Lu Di, from the human hall, Lu Di said smoothly, her voice calm, without any surge of energy. The middle-aged man's brush flew across the paper as soon as she spoke, sketching swiftly on the white paper in front of him. Your strength? He asked when Lu Di paused. My strength. Late 5-star Do Di, Lu Di replied with a smile. Late 5-star Do Di? Ling Xian was shocked. The aura around Lu Di didn't seem anywhere near that terrifying. How could she have such formidable strength? Inject your Do Qi into this, the middle-aged man said, stopping his brush and pulling out a crystal prism, holding it out to Lu Di. Upon hearing this, Lu Di let out a soft exhale, and her Do Qi surged into the crystal. It's true, the middle-aged man confirmed after a brief verification. He completed Lu Di's registration and gestured for the next person. I'll go, Mu Feng said with a grin. Xiao Yin and the others nodded in response. Mu Feng, from the human hall, strength. Late 5-star Do Di, Mu Feng announced, laughing. Another late 5-star Do Di? The middle-aged man was clearly surprised. He had been doing registrations for decades, but had never encountered a day like this. Normally, the disciples from the human hall were rather mediocre. The strongest among them were typically at most at the perfect 5-star Do Di level, which was rare in itself. Yet now, 2 late 5-star Do Di disciples had appeared in a single team. All right, next, the man said, suppressing his astonishment as he finished registering Mu Feng. Has the human hall really grown so strong all of a sudden? Ling Xian muttered with a frown. As the daughter of the hall master, she had heard plenty about the human hall situation from her father and knew it well. I'll go next, Mu Ingying said with a soft smile, stepping forward. Mu Ingying, from the human hall, strength. Early 6-star Do Di, she said, releasing a soft white energy from her body as she spoke. Is that life force? The middle-aged man suddenly exclaimed, jumping up from his seat. And it's at the 8th rank? His astonishment grew as he processed the information. 8th rank life force? The room erupted in murmurs. Even Ling Xian, who usually remained calm, couldn't hide her surprise. Life force at the 8th rank was a true trump card. After overcoming the 6-star Do Di tribulation, one would begin to generate life force within their body. Compared to ordinary Do Qi, life force was far more powerful. If a 6-star Do Di at the early stage possessed 8th rank life force, they could potentially stand their ground even against a late 6-star Do Di with only 6th rank life force. The gap between ranks of life force was a decisive advantage. How could it be 8th rank life force? Ling Xian muttered, finding it hard to believe. Even with her father's support, her life force was only at the 7th rank. Still, even 7th rank life force was enough to put her ahead of most peers. "Take a seat," the middle-aged man said after a moment, regaining his composure. "It seems the human hall has some fearsome talents this time. I'd better report this immediately," the registrar thought to himself. Next, the man called. "Ling Xian, from the Earth Hall, strength. Mid 6-star Do D," Ling Xian said, though her voice was still tinged with the shock of what she had just witnessed. The hall master of the Earth Hall actually sent his treasured daughter out this time? All right, the last one. After registering the information of the 4 individuals, the registrar's gaze shifted to the one among them who carried a massive ruler on his back. Though uncertain about the man's strength, the registrar had an inexplicable feeling that this person was far from ordinary. Xiao Yin, from the human hall. As for strength, late 6-star Do D, I guess, Xiao Yin said casually, as though it was no big deal. Late 6-star Do D? Ling Xian, upon hearing this, bit her lips slightly in disbelief. Ling Xian had always considered herself extraordinarily gifted. When Xiao Yin first entered the Incense Pavilion, he had only been a 4-star Do D, while she had already reached 5-star Do D. Yet in just 5 short years, Xiao Yin had somehow outpaced her, a proud talent of the Earth Hall, by such a wide margin. She couldn't believe it, no matter how hard she tried. Late 6-star Do D? The registrar repeated in disbelief. The next moment, Xiao Yin didn't bother speaking further. His aura surged, and with a simple movement of his hand, his energy connected with the hexagonal crystal the registrar was holding to measure his strength. Bang! 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 In an instant, Xiao Yan's power caused the solid crystal to shatter. This kid's situation is too unusual. I'll have to report this, the registrar muttered through gritted teeth, quickly jotting down the information for all 5 of them. That power, it's definitely at the late 6-star Do D level. But why don't I sense any life force in him? Ling Xian thought. She knew that only someone who had passed the Do D tribulation could muster the strength to shatter that crystal. But Xiao Yan's body held no trace of life force, which was born after the tribulation. What was going on with him? Her curiosity about Xiao Yin grew. All right, your information has been recorded. Now, it's time to choose the difficulty level of your mission. The registrar, suppressing his shock and doubts, turned to the group. Difficulty level? Mu Feng asked in confusion. Yes. This area is just for registering your strength and recording your aura, so we can determine your life and death status during the mission. If you face danger, experts from the Incense Pavilion will come to your aid, the registrar explained. The mission difficulty is divided into 3 levels: green, yellow, and red. Green is the easiest, yellow is harder, and red is nightmare level. What's the difference between the levels? Mu Feng asked again. Green missions are relatively simple, and the rewards are average. Yellow missions are more challenging, requiring a lot of teamwork, but the generous rewards make it the most popular choice among teams. And the red nightmare level missions, well, they are basically impossible to complete, the registrar said slowly. Impossible? Then why would we even attempt them? Mu Feng seemed to grasp something and spoke up. The registrar chuckled. Our pavilion's motto is to create miracles. That's why the hardest tasks exist. Oh, and I forgot to mention, anything you acquire during the red nightmare level mission is yours to keep. For green and yellow missions, all items must be handed over. So, what do we do? Mu Feng asked, turning to the others. I think we should choose the red nightmare level, Xiao Yin said with a slight smile. Since the elders have set up this trial, I doubt the missions are truly impossible. It's just that the cost of completing them might be high, or the difficulty extreme. Besides, since we left the desert mountain range, our strength has increased significantly. It's time we learned how to control our newfound power. Otherwise, it could hinder our future cultivation, Xiao Yin reasoned. That makes sense. The 3 others nodded in agreement. What about you? Xiao Yin asked Ling Xian. I'll go with your decision, Ling Xian replied absent-mindedly, still shaken by Xiao Yan's late 6-star Do D strength and the fact that Mu Yingying had achieved the 8th rank of life force. Then it's decided, red nightmare level, Xiao Yin said with a smile, turning to the registrar. Red nightmare level, is it? Bold choice. The registrar smiled, though his grin carried a hint of chill. Now that you've made your decision, who will be your team captain? He asked. Xiao Yin. The other three replied in unison. Here, this is your mission for the team competition, the registrar said, handing over a blood-red scroll from his robe. The scroll looked unusually eerie, and inside it was a wooden token, though its purpose was unclear. Take it. As for the details of your mission, it's better to read them later. If leaked, it could spell trouble for you. The registrar warned, subtly dismissing them. Let's go, Xiao Yin said as he carefully pocketed the scroll and wooden token, leading the group out toward the bamboo pavilion. What kind of mission is this, to be so secretive? Once they returned to the bamboo pavilion, curiosity buzzed around the stone table as the group gathered. Let's open it, Xiao Yin said, sensing the group's rising curiosity. They all gathered around the red scroll. As Xiao Yin focused his mind, an immense soul power surged toward the scroll. Boom, boom, boom. The scroll trembled violently under the assault of Xiao Yan's vast soul force. More power, Xiao Yin commanded, realizing that even his immense soul power was having no effect. After relentless efforts from Xiao Yin, the red scroll finally unfurled within a few breaths, lying flat before them. A powerful aura, impossible to resist, instantly spread out, and small but exceptionally clear characters emerged on the surface of the scroll. Nightmare-level task. The 5 scarlet characters immediately caught the attention of Xiao Yin and his companions. Beneath the ominous title, a line of smaller text appeared. Head to Falling Spirit Mountain and defeat the 5-element beast. These few words struck Ling Xian's heart like a thunderclap. What's wrong? Xiao Yin quickly steadied Ling Xian, who appeared on the verge of collapsing. Do you know what the 5-element beast is? Ling Xian's face turned slightly pale as she slowly spoke. No idea. The 4 of them shook their heads, clearly puzzled by the name. The 5-element beast is a terrifying monster that has absorbed the essence of 5 different elements. If you're a Dou-Di who specializes in the fire attribute and you confront the beast, it will wield the same fire attribute, making your power utterly ineffective against it. In other words, the 5-element beast is nearly invincible. With just the 5 of us, there's no way we can defeat it. This mission is impossible. We shouldn't accept it. Ling Xian voiced her frustration. The 5-element beast, huh? I vaguely recall its body being incredibly valuable. If we could obtain its corpse, it might provide a chance to revive your ancestor. Came the voice of Heart Rock from within Xiao Yan's body. The beast's body? Xiao Yin was surprised. Based on what you've mentioned, your ancestor once suppressed 3 heavenly flames within his body and perished by self-detonating them. A normal human body cannot withstand such power. But the 5-element beast's body contains the power of the 5 elements and is forged like steel through countless battles. It's the perfect vessel for reviving your ancestor, Heart Rock explained. Xiao Yin fell into deep thought upon hearing this. His achievements today were undeniably linked to the help of his ancestor, Xiao Xian. He had also promised to bring him back to life. With the sacred flame and pills ready, the only thing left was a suitable body to host the rebirth. Given the current circumstances, this is our only option. I hope Ancestor Xiao Xian will reveal the truth behind the Xiao clan's disappearance, Xiao Yin murmured inwardly. Back when they were still in the Dou-Chi continent, Xiao Xian's bloodline power as a Dou-Di began to collapse. Despite sacrificing the clan's entire strength to break through once more, the result was the eventual fall of the Xiao clan. One person can't defeat the 5-element beast, but have you forgotten that we're a team of 5? Xiao Yin spoke calmly, turning to Ling Xian, who was still fuming. But among the 5 of us, we're missing key elements. You and Mu Yingying both possess the fire attribute, but we lack the others. We don't have what it takes to handle the beast. Ling Xian argued again. Heh, have you forgotten that I'm an alchemist? Fire interlaced with wood. Xiao Yin had anticipated her concern and responded slowly. Since that's the case, seeing their resolve, Ling Xian had no choice but to agree. Though she didn't fully grasp the 5-element beast's strength, she knew from her father's words that it was a fierce creature rivaling a 7-star Dou-Di. All right then, Rest up. We'll set off tomorrow. Xiao Yin rolled up the red scroll. However, he was a bit puzzled. The few characters on the scroll occupied only 1/3 of the space. Did that mean there were other tasks hidden within it? But now wasn't the time to dwell on such thoughts. I'll head back first. Let's meet here again tomorrow. The Vice Hall Masters will organize our departure. Ling Xian reminded them before leaving. Big brother, this mission seems far more complex than it appears. As Ling Xian left, Little Yi walked out from the shadows and spoke softly. The five-element beast is indeed formidable. Looks like I'll need to delve deeper into my wood attribute power within the sacred flame. Xiao Yin smiled bitterly. Let's go. Time to head back, Xiao Yin said to the others beside him. After that, the four of them left one by one. Meanwhile, other teams were still bustling with registration for the group competition. Hee, how confident are you all in your assigned tasks this time? In the highest level conference room of the Incense Pavilion, dozens of figures slowly appeared. The one who spoke was none other than Elder Qing, now the Vice Hall Master of the Heaven Hall. Sitting at the head of the table, Elder Qing looked at the numerous elders around him. In front of them stood Bear Yuan, the Vice Hall Master of the Earth Hall, and Mu Shuzi, the Vice Hall Master of the Human Hall. Behind the two were various elders from both the Human Hall and the Earth Hall, veterans who could very well be the pavilion's most elite strength. Elder Qing, we're heading to Falling Spirit Mountain this time. Although the mountain was discovered by the Pavilion Master as an unintended relic site, its depths are fraught with dangers. Even for us old-timers, we can't guarantee success. But rest assured, with us present, we will ensure the safety of the disciples, said an elder from the Earth Hall, his face aglow with confidence. While Falling Spirit Mountain is indeed perilous, it's also an excellent place for honing one's skills. Moreover, altering the usual group competition format is necessary. First, with the impending sect tournament, our Incense Pavilion, having remained dormant for so long, must make a strong impression to deter potential rivals. Second, it's to better temper our disciples, Elder Qing explained. Elder Qing, began Mu Shuzi, tomorrow it's your responsibility to lead the disciples into the sacred ground. Today, we'll go ahead and set things up at Falling Spirit Mountain. He looked around to see everyone silently nodding in agreement. Understood, replied Mu Shuzi with a grin, clearly pleased with the task he'd been given. That's settled then. This so-called sect competition is actually more of a rewards trial, continued Elder Qing. The disciples who distinguish themselves will represent our Incense Pavilion in the Grand Sect Tournament. Enough of that, let's focus on preparing. Gather in 15 minutes and we'll be off. The next moment, Xiong Yuan chimed in, slightly exasperated by Elder Qing's constant reminders. Elder Qing, realizing he'd been caught rambling, coughed awkwardly. The group then slowly dispersed, understanding they needed to rest well for tomorrow's task in the trial grounds. As the crowd dispersed, the Incense Pavilion grew quiet. Everyone knew that the next day marked the beginning of their trial mission, so they spent the day in careful preparation. In an endless dark expanse filled with ancient gravestones, an oppressive aura of death pervaded the air, deterring any living soul from approaching. Endless rows of gravestones extended upwards, crowned at the top of this morbid, seen by a shadowy, tattered figure staring into the distance. Behind him lingered a strange, ethereal silhouette. What news? The shadowy figure, speaking with a voice that echoed eerily, caused the gravestones to emit a mournful wail. To protect Lord Ghost Immortal, I've received intelligence that the mystic three heavens are restless, responded a kneeling man enveloped in shadow, known as Dark Crow, from amidst a swirl of sinister energy. The Xianling royal family tried to encircle the Medusa clan but were shockingly repelled by the sudden appearance of a Do Xian, a warrior of profound strength, from among their ranks. Had it not been for the abrupt disappearance of this Medusa Do Xian, the Xianling royals would likely be... Dark Crow paused, his words echoing ominously with the flutter of unsettlingly dark feathers from the crows above. A Do Xian from the Medusa clan? The shadowed figure shuddered with astonishment, clearly incredulous about the reappearance of such potent force from a clan cursed by the heavens. Continue, Dark Crow, he urged. Rising to his full height, addressing the crow-formed specter before him. Additionally, there's movement within Solomon. Some of their power players seem to be up to something. Dark Crow reported further. Heh, the Solomons have always wanted a bigger piece of the pie. We promised them a place when Ghost Realm conquered the mystic three heavens, but I suspect they've uncovered some hidden agendas of their own. The man's voice carried a chilling undertone, as the phantom behind him emitted an even more sinister aura. Any more news? He asked, stretching out comfortably. Incense Pavilion is hosting its sect trial, and it's happening at Falling Spirit Mountain, Dark Crow mentioned, recalling the long-standing grudges his master held against the Incense Pavilion. Incense Pavilion. With just those words, a terrifying wave of ghostly chi surged from the man, causing everything within the cemetery to quake under a palpable dread that left Dark Crow weakened. Relay my orders. Those embedded within the mystic three heavens must head to Falling Spirit Mountain. Kill the Incense Pavilion disciples. And make sure you eliminate the human, Xiao Yin, at all costs. He possesses the twin ghost emperor's heart, which we must retrieve, commanded the man with urgency. But, Lord Ghost Immortal, Blood Rose has noted that it's not yet time to act. We risk alerting our enemies prematurely, Dark Crow cautioned, his voice edged with worry. Begone! The man roared, his rage sending Dark Crow spiraling back several meters, forcefully expelled by the sheer power of his wrath. What grudge does this grave-digger Ghost Immortal have with Incense Pavilion to pursue them so relentlessly? Dark Crow muttered bitterly before vanishing to carry out his grim orders. Incense Pavilion, what you owe me, I will ensure you repay in full. The grave-digger Ghost Immortal's sinister laughter echoed across the cemetery, lingering for ages. The night passed without further incident. As the first light of dawn broke, the Incense Pavilion bustled back into its usual fervor. Hey, did you hear? This year's team competition location is unlike any before, came whispers from the vast plaza below the domain of Scorched Heavens. Have you seen your tasks yet? What does your task entail? Endless murmuring filled the space as groups gathered in anticipation. Silence. At this, Mu Shuzi appeared on the platform overlooking the bustling crowd, commanding attention. It looks like the trial is about to begin, noted Xiao Yin, observing the meticulous preparations of the day. His regular companions, including the little demoness Ling Xian, unusually punctual on this occasion, were also ready early. Quiet. Now I will guide you through the space transfer array into the trial site. Remember the two key principles, teamwork and safety. Mu Shuzi offered no further elaboration, his pale hand gracefully gesturing upwards. Suddenly, a massive white gateway materialized in the sky above the domain of Scorched Heavens. Such an impressive feat, Xiao Yin couldn't help but remark, recognizing the mastery involved in creating such a grand transfer array that must have been crafted by Elder Zhu's expertise. Only Elder Zhu could orchestrate something of this magnitude, he thought to himself, in respectful admiration. Red Nightmare Team, you're up first. Shwa shwa. The moment Mu Shuzi's words fell, 5 figures suddenly appeared, streaking across the sky before landing directly in front of him. Of the 5, only 4 were cloaked, their faces concealed by large hats, but despite this, Ling Xian, standing next to Xiao Yin, spoke up, "It's actually Senior Brother Wang Chun. The strength of these people is formidable," Mu Feng said slowly, his voice carrying an unusual heaviness as he gazed at the figures in the sky. Although Mu Feng's current strength was only at the late 5-star Do D level, thanks to the mysterious techniques in his body, he could likely hold his own against a perfect 5-star Do D. Yet, as he faced these 5, an overwhelming sense of powerlessness spread through him. Don't worry. Sensing Mu Feng's unease, Xiao Yin gently placed a hand on his shoulder, a calming force radiating from his touch. Ling Xian, do you know who they are? After reassuring Mu Feng, Xiao Yin turned to Ling Xian, curious. Given that only the disciples from the Earth Hall and Human Hall were present, and sensing the immense power these 5 emitted, Xiao Yin figured they must be exceptionally talented individuals from the Earth Hall. They're likely the strongest disciples of the Earth Hall right now, Ling Xian replied. Second senior brother, third senior brother, fourth senior brother, and the one you fought earlier, fifth senior brother. But I should warn you, the fifth senior brother you fought earlier is the weakest of them, she added after a moment's hesitation. Normally, Ling Xian wouldn't care to offer such advice, but ever since joining Xiao Yan's team from the Human Hall, she had overheard some unkind remarks after returning to the Earth Hall the previous night. Given her headstrong personality, the little demoness was determined to prove herself and show the Earth Hall disciples what she was truly capable of. And what about the last one? Xiao Yan didn't doubt Ling Xian's words. Apart from Wang Chun, whose face was uncovered, the auras of the other four were indeed much stronger. In fact, one of them gave off a presence so elusive that Xiao Yan felt a rare sense of uncertainty. This was unusual, considering how much his soul and spirit powers had recently surged. The only explanation was that this person's strength far exceeded his own. Hall Master Mu, can we go now? Wang Chen asked. Go ahead. I hope you all have good luck, Mu Shuzi replied calmly, swiftly forming hand seals. A strange energy surged forth, and Wang Chen's group of 5 leaped into the spatial teleportation array without hesitation. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, Mu Shuzi's hands moved rapidly, triggering a brilliant flash from the array. Instantly, the 5 of them vanished. Next group, Mu Shuzi called out again after the process was complete. Where did they go? Someone in the crowd couldn't help but ask, clearly puzzled. There's no need to worry, Mu Shuzi replied gently, noticing the commotion. This spatial teleportation array was specially set up by the Incense Pavilion to transport our disciples for trials. When you pass through, someone will be there to guide you. Oh, I see. The disciples, hearing this, finally relaxed. There are 10 teams chosen for the Red Nightmare level trial. Next team. Xiao Yan, it's your turn, Mu Shuzi called out again after the crowd settled down. 10 teams, huh? Xiao Yan smiled faintly, not at all surprised by the number. After all, this was the Incense Pavilion, where geniuses abounded. Let's go. Exchanging glances with his companions, Xiao Yan led the way, and the 4 of them swiftly moved to stand beside Mu Shuzi. Vice Hall Master, they greeted respectfully. Enter here, and relax your minds, Mu Shuzi said kindly. The spatial teleportation array won't cause you any harm, but if you resist it, there could be risks. Mu Shuzi was quite pleased with Xiao Yan's group, not only because of their strength, but also their temperament. After all, it had been many years since Elder Zhu, known for his high standards, had praised anyone. Xiao Yan nodded slightly and glanced down at the dense crowd below, waiting for their turn like ants. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Also, remember to keep that wooden token safe. As for the tasks on the red scroll, there isn't just one. Mu Shuzi smiled, and before Xiao Yan could ask what he meant, the hand seals were already forming again. Boom, boom, boom. Xiao Yan barely had time to react before the teleportation array's light began to flash brightly around them. What did Mu Shuzi mean by his last words? Xiao Yan thought, bewildered. Shwa shwa. The blinding white light engulfed the 5 of them, carrying an indescribable power. Xiao Yan could feel not just his body, but even his soul being moved. Don't bother resisting. This spatial teleportation array was likely made by that Elder Zhu you mentioned. It's too solid. Trying to fight it will only harm your spirit, Xian Yan suddenly said, interrupting Xiao Yan's thoughts as he tried to probe the array. All right, Xiao Yan sighed in resignation, but his attention quickly turned to his companions. Lu Di and Mu Feng seemed fine, but Ling Xian's body appeared to be emitting something unusual, possibly a treasure she carried. Forget it. We should be there by now. Xiao Yan couldn't be bothered to dwell on it. After a few breaths, his surroundings brightened as he slowly opened his eyes, realizing that this place was entirely different from where they had been before. What is this? In the next moment, all 5 of them opened their eyes simultaneously, exclaiming in unison, "It seems we've arrived at the trial grounds." Xiao Yan was the calmest of the group, unlike the others, who were visibly surprised. Among the 4, the most astonished was undoubtedly Ling Xian. Ling Xian's lips parted slightly in curiosity. After all, she had spent her entire life in the Earth Hall, and her father was its hall master. Ling Xian rarely ventured outside, so she was naturally filled with curiosity and excitement about the outside world. This teleportation array is such a mess. Why didn't we get sent directly to the array point? Mu Feng grumbled from the side. Why had the usually flawless teleportation array malfunction today? Mu Feng was utterly puzzled. Cough cough, since we're already at the trial's destination, we should make our preparations, Xiao Yin said quickly, diverting the conversation. Originally, the teleportation array should have sent them to the array point, but Xiao Yin had subtly interfered with it, causing them to arrive several kilometers away from the intended location. Upon hearing this, the group fell silent, each lost in thought. Strange. One of the teams that chose the Red Nightmare level has vanished. On the outskirts of Falling Spirit Mountain, several stewards of the Incense Pavilion were discussing. These stewards were in charge of registering the 10 teams that had selected the Red Nightmare level for the trial. The other teams were scattered elsewhere, but not in Falling Spirit Mountain. Falling Spirit Mountain was specifically reserved for the elite disciples of the Incense Pavilion. Which team disappeared? One of the stewards asked. It seems to be Xiao Yan's team, another replied. Xiao Yan, huh? Elder Zhu mentioned not to worry about him. Just focus on your tasks, the lead steward said before resuming his patrol. My records show that this should be Falling Spirit Mountain. Under a large tree, Xiao Yan and his companions sat in a circle, discussing. Everyone exchanged glances when Ling Xian, after a long pause, finally squeezed out this single sentence. They rolled their eyes in disappointment. This is Falling Spirit Mountain. But do you know what it really is? Ling Xian puffed up in frustration, feeling underestimated by the group. Falling Spirit Mountain? Xiao Yan's interest was piqued, and the other three nodded in agreement, their attention turning to Ling Xian. In an unfamiliar place, danger was likely lurking everywhere. Understanding the situation was crucial to staying safe. This place, Falling Spirit Mountain, was discovered by our pavilion master purely by accident. It's a mysterious land. Within Falling Spirit Mountain, danger is everywhere, and ancient beasts roam freely. A single misstep could lead to death. Ling Xian intentionally described the dangers dramatically, but Xiao Yin and the others remained unfazed. Falling Spirit Mountain formed as a result of the many powerful experts from Mystic Three Heavens who perished here. Over time, their lingering power transformed into strange creatures. Death beasts, Ling Xian explained slowly. Death beasts? No wonder I felt something was off the moment we arrived, Mu Feng remarked. His keen sensitivity to ghostly and deathly auras clearly related to his cultivation technique. Death beasts are the result of the lingering powers of fallen experts. But let me clarify, there are no fallen Do Xian experts here, not even peak Do D. Most of the fallen were around the 7-star level. However, even at that level, their collective strength makes death beasts formidable foes, Ling Xian said gravely. Death beasts are no different from regular magical beasts. They have flesh and blood, and the more powerful ones even possess their own consciousness, attempting to escape this space within Falling Spirit Mountain, she continued. Death beasts, Xiao Yin murmured, contemplating. Clearly, these creatures were formed by the mysterious forces within Falling Spirit Mountain. The fallen experts' energies had somehow condensed into these entities. What surprised Xiao Yin the most was that these energy bodies had flesh, blood, and even consciousness, a testament to the mountain's enigma. Death beasts aren't easy to deal with. If you can't kill them in one strike, they'll soon revive, stronger than before. Ling Xian pouted. Is the 5-element beast part of our mission also a type of death beast? Xiao Yin asked, testing the waters. Yes, but the 5-element beast is far more than just a death beast. It not only has consciousness, but also possesses terrifying strength. It's likely one of the top 5 strongest death beasts in Falling Spirit Mountain, Ling Xian said slowly. Whenever the 5-element beast was mentioned, Ling Xian couldn't help but feel a tinge of fear, recalling how many had attempted to defeat it only to fail miserably. Some even lost limbs in the process. We should be near the outskirts of Falling Spirit Mountain. Let's rest a bit before we move on, Xiao Yin suggested as he sat down, channeling his Do Qi to adjust his state. The others followed suit. This imperial qi feels strange. Someone mumbled. The group, startled, began circulating their Do Qi techniques, only to encounter the same anomaly. You're all feeling this too? The Imperial Qi here isn't suitable for us to absorb, Mu Feng said slowly, his voice heavy with concern. If the Imperial Qi of this falling spirit mountain couldn't replenish the Do Qi they'd consumed, defeating the five-element beast would be as hard as reaching the heavens. With their Do Qi being drained without replenishment, it was only a matter of time before they ran dry. At that point, when their energy was fully depleted, they would be utterly stranded in this perilous falling spirit mountain, unable to take a single step. It seems this mission won't be as simple as we thought, Xiaoyan muttered to himself, his gaze fixed in the distance. Though they just arrived at Falling Spirit Mountain, the Imperial Qi that lingered here was present, yet unsuitable for Xiaoyan and his companions to absorb. They knew that taking in this so-called Imperial Qi would only harm them, as the Qi here wasn't truly Imperial Qi at all. Besides, I have this feeling that the mission isn't as straightforward as it appears. Before we entered, Mu Zuzi mentioned that there are 10 teams in total, all of which chose the Red Nightmare difficulty level. So apart from us, there are still 9 other teams out there. We need to be extra cautious, Xiaoyan said slowly. What on earth are my father and the others up to, setting me up like this? Ling Xian grumbled in frustration after hearing this. All right, save the complaints for when you return safely. This is probably just the beginning of our mission, Xiaoyan replied with a wry smile.